What's going on, YouTube? Bacon here, bringing another video. This one going to be my Week 8 match for the SSBL Minors. This week we are taking on wordlife, coach of the Cleveland Brelooms. Word's a very good player. I've definitely seen his name around a few places. He's actually in DPL, I believe. He plays for ZFG. He was also in MWPA Venus with us at the time of this game, but he actually, I believe, ended up dropping his team. I think he wasn't playing particularly well, and he wasn't super happy with his team, so he ended up dropping MWPA, but definitely a very strong player. First time I've had a chance to play him myself, but definitely a good matchup on tap for us here. Very difficult matchup for sure, looking team-wise at this matchup. But thankfully, we are getting this while we're 7-0 plus 20. So we do have a little bit of room to experiment here. I'm pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot at this point, barring some crazy differential stuff. One more win, I believe, guarantees us a bye in the first round, which is definitely something I'm interested in getting. But we do have 3 opportunities to do that here as the season winds down. So definitely looking to get a good scout on what Word is thinking for this matchup, because like I said, it's very difficult for me team-wise. And kind of getting an idea of what he's looking at in this matchup to try and do, and what I could potentially take advantage of in a playoff rematch if it does come to that. Definitely something that would be very good for me to know going forward. So without further ado, let's get into the matchup here and look at what Word's got on tap for us here. He's got the Celesteela, Mew, Mega Venusaur, Suicune, Diggersby, Miltank, Zygarde 10, Mimikyu, Rotom Frost, and Sudowoodo. The Mimikyu, Rotom Frost, and Sudowoodo are his Z-move users. That'll come into play later, but offensively, he's just got some huge threats. Diggersby, Zygarde, Mimikyu, very difficult for my team to deal with. He could run a number of sets on Diggersby. He could run Choice Band, he could run Choice Scarf, he could run Agility, he could run SD. That thing can really put in the work on me for sure. Zygarde switching into 1000 Arrows is just very difficult. I knew kind of going into this season that Zygarde was a difficult matchup for me, but like nobody drafted Zygarde 50, so I was like, okay, I'll just deal with it. Like this one matchup, you know, but this is the matchup where we hit Zygarde. So definitely very, very difficult Pokemon for me to take down, especially because my Fairy type is a Steel type. So very difficult for me to deal with that thing in general. And then Mimikyu, it's just going to be tough to break its disguise in this matchup. Like, he's really got no reason to send it out unless it's killing something or it's setting up. So it's going to be very difficult for me to break that Mimikyu's disguise for sure in this match. And then kind of on the flip side, the defensive core of Celesteela and Mega Venusaur, especially when you plop in things like Suicune and Mew, very difficult for me to deal with, very difficult to break through. You can see I'm actually bringing my Superior in this match against a team that has Mega Venusaur plus Celesteela, so you know it's not a good matchup when something like that's happening. But yeah, let's try and build something to try and beat this. But again, very difficult team matchup. I felt on tap. Might have missed something when I was looking at the initial team build, but at the very least, this game will, if nothing else, give me a good scouting opportunity to figure out what he's thinking moving forward. So. Starting off here, we've got Eats Tide Pods, the Rotom Wash, running Berry Rotom Wash with Volt Switch, Will-O-Wisp, Hydro Pump, and Pain Split, running max HP, slightly physically defensive invested Rotom Wash. This way I can help take on things like Diggersby. I am speedy enough to outspeed Jolly Diggersby, so if he is running Choice Scarf, I'll know right off the bat. And potentially land a Will-O-Wisp on that thing. If he's running Choice Banded, think he can just knock me out. Will-O-Wisp, again, gonna really cripple that thing over the course of the match. Hydro Pump plus Volt Switch, just kind of nice dual stab versus team. Volt Switch can keep up initiative as well against something like his Mega Venusaur coming in on me. And even getting a burn on that thing, just kind of chipping at it over the course of the match is going to be really important for my Superior going forward. So I like the Rotom Wash set here. The Shuka Berry is kind of neat tech to catch the Zygarde going for 1000 Arrows. I thought that was kind of cool. I could potentially get a Will-O-Wisp off on that thing, but otherwise, pretty standard Rotom Wash set, bar using the Shuka Berry to try and deal with that Zygarde. Next up here is Two-Face the Mega Mawile, running Intimidate as the pre-Mega ability. I don't think you guys have seen me run Hyper Cutter, and I don't think I will for the rest of the season, honestly. Intimidate's just generally way more useful. You could potentially force switches a little bit harder with the Intimidate off on somebody and then just start clicking buttons, or conversely, if you are threatened out by something like a Lando, or in this case a Zygarde or a Diggersby, at least you've neutered their offensive output a little bit before you go to switch out. So that's kind of the idea behind the Intimidate in this matchup. If I do lead Mawile or something and I get an Intimidate off on Diggersby or Zygarde, that at least will kind of help alleviate my switch-ins to those things. So it's the idea behind running Intimidate here. Again, generally more useful to run Intimidate than Hyper Cutter, even in matchups against things like Land OT. I think it's probably still better to run the Intimidate here. So Running SD Mega Mawile with Iron Head, Sucker Punch, and Thunder Punch. Max Attack, Adamant Nature allows me to break through things like Venusaur, things like Suicune, things like Celesteela. At +2, all those things are going to fall over to the combination of Iron Head and Thunder Punch. Sucker Punch allows me to pick off some of his more frail offensive mons, things like Diggersby, things like Zygarde, Disguise Broken Mimikyu. Sucker Punch is really nice for all of those. And also will do some big damage to a Mew. Obviously, Mew is probably going to be carrying either kind of a defensive set with Will-O-Wisp or maybe a setup set with like Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, whatever. So he'll probably be carrying non-attack moves on his Mew, but Sucker Punch is at least a nice way to potentially deal with that thing at some point during the match. Next up is Serp Sweat the Superior Ring. Leftovers, Contrary Ability, Leaf Storm, Hidden Power Fire, Giga Drain, and Defog. Running Max Attack, Timid Nature here with a good bit of HP investment. I didn't need to creep super hard in this game. I believe I was just creeping down to something like Mimikyu, or not Mew in this case, creeping down to Mew. But that does give me a little bit of bulk to help take on the Suicune a little bit better, which is nice. Dual Grass also helps there if he's running like a Subtoxic Protect set with his Suicune. I can Leaf Storm, get one boost, and then just start Giga Draining to preserve some PP. I can still potentially get PP stalled, or the PP can be a little bit annoying coming in against the Suicune, but Superior doesn't do a pretty decent job checking that thing over the course of the match. So that's the Superior set here. Not too bad in this matchup, but the big problems, like I mentioned, are the Celesteela and the Mega Venusaur. Because my Superior isn't Z-move, I can't run like Breakneck Blitz to break through the Venusaur. So gonna be very difficult for sure, but if I can chip down the Venusaur, potential for Superior to do something in this matchup. Next up here is Nightshade the Gliscor, running Toxicor, Poison Heal with Taunt, Knockoff, Roost, and Earthquake. Running max HP, good bit of physical defense investment, but again, speed creeping that Diggersby, just in case he's something like Choice Band or whatever and I want to knock that off. Knockoff is also really nice to remove potential leftovers from Celesteela, for example, leftovers from the Suicune. I can also taunt the Suicune to prevent it from setting up in my face. I can also taunt things like the Mega Venusaur and the Celesteela to stop him from going for Leech Seed, Synthesis, whatever. Just keeping those things low over the course of the match is going to be super important. Gliscor is also a pretty nice defensive pivot into something like the Zygarde. I think I live +1 Z Outrage. Don't quote me on that, but I think I might. So Gliscor is nice for that as well. I can also pivot in on Banded all day, as long as I do have my Toxic Orb activated. If he doesn't have Stealth Rocks up, I don't even need the Toxic Orb activated yet to pivot in on Banded Zygarde, but definitely kind of a nice bring here, I felt like, with the Gliscor kind of gluing the team together in this matchup. Next up here is Giant Brain, the Uxie, running leftovers with Stealth Rock, U-Turn, Yawn, and Psyshock. This is actually pretty standard Uxie set. Lots of HP investment, good bit of Spadef to help take on the Mega Venusaur, but again, running just enough speed to yawn something like Suicune before it goes for Substitute. Things like that. If he's running Substitute, I don't think he'd be Rest on his Suicune, so, or certainly not Sleep Talk. So I think running fast Yawn in this game is good, just to make sure it doesn't get Substitutes up in my face. Yawn plus U-Turn is kind of a nice classic pairing. If they stay in, they get put to sleep. If they switch out, they give you offensive momentum. It can be a nice little kind of trap there with the Uxie. And then I just needed something to do some kind of damage to the Mega Venusaur, so I ran Psyshock. Doesn't do a ton, but it'll still do 40 or 50%. That's more or less what I need it to do this game. And getting up Stealth Rock is going to be really nice to help whittle down his walls in this match. So chipping down the Venusaur, chipping down the Celesteela as they come in over and over again. Definitely going to be nice to have the Stealth Rock option there. Last up, we have a kind of screwed up Alolan Muck set. We're actually running Figgy Berry Alolan Muck with Poison Touch, Curse, Poison Jab, Knockoff, and Recycle. Definitely not intentionally running Poison Touch. It's supposed to be Gluttony, but that could have been really bad. You'll see how it plays out in the game, but yeah, definitely supposed to be Gluttony Muck. Running a good bit of HP and special defense investment to help me take on the Mew a little bit better. But overall, this thing's job is kind of to be a late game win con for me. If I need it to, this +1 Muck will live a Scarf Earthquake from Diggersby, so that's something to note. Definitely not an ideal situation to be in ever, but I can if I need it to. Otherwise, this Muck is potentially able to set up on things like the Venusaur, able to set up on the Celesteela, and just do some big damage to his team. And again, that pivot for the Mew is really, really well appreciated in this matchup. So without further ado, let's get into the match here. As you can see, my opponent brought the Suicune, Mew, Diggersby, Mimikyu, Mega Venusaur, and the Zygarde 10. Looking at lead matchup here, I really have no reason not to lead with Rotom Wash. I can either Volt Switch out or Will-O-Wisp on anything, more or less. Predicting the Venusaur to come in, burning a physical attacker, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I really have no problem leading with Rotom Wash here off the rip. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Rotom Wash comes out here and actually catches the Diggersby at lead. So we're going to find out right away whether or not this is Choice Scarf Diggersby. Like I mentioned in my team builder, I did elect to creep this Diggersby. So Diggersby comes out here. I can go right for the Will-O-Wisp, predicting the Venusaur switch in. That's exactly what I'm going to do. As he just goes for the U-turn and does reveal that he's Choice Scarf. So that's at least good for me to know. He's not Choice Band or Setup or anything like that, but Choice Scarf Diggersby is still a huge threat versus me. So gonna have to play around that thing over the course of the match. Get a Will-O-Wisp off here as the Mew comes out, and it turns out to be, it looks like it's going to be a more defensive variant of Mew because he brought it in instead of the Venusaur, but that's fine. I'm just going to go for Pain Split here and try and get some health back, start to chip down this Mew. But it turns out he's actually Nasty Plot. So I do get a good bit of HP back from the Mew because it just naturally has a much higher HP stat than I do. But I was kind of predicting it to be a more defensive type of Mew, and it's actually Nasty Plot. So that's somewhat problematic for me for sure. Mew comes out here, and I really don't have a whole lot of options. I don't want him getting off his Z move, because if he gets off a Genesis Supernova here and sets up his Psychic Terrain, I can't Revenge Kill him with Sucker Punch from my Mawile. So I'm actually going to go hard out into my Alolan Muck here as opposed to Volt Switching, just to stop that from happening. He actually reveals the Roost, so I at least know that he's only 2 attacks on the Mew, but one of them is probably Earth Power, so I got to Scout here and go out into my Superior. I suppose I could have gone out into something like Uxie, but that really doesn't deny him further setup. So Superior comes out here and he goes for the Earth Power. I'm like, okay, now if he's got the Z move, definitely going to go for it here. Got to catch that thing with my Alolan Muck. Go out into Alolan Muck. Totally forgot this isn't Z move Mew. So, like, big brain fart. Didn't look at the dock or whatever. It's not Z move Mew. So he's running Ice Beam plus Earth Power. Still problematic for my team, but at the very least he can't set up the Psychic Terrain, I guess. I kind of realize here I gotta let something go because I can't just keep letting him chip down my team like this. Gotta let something go and Revenge Kill him with Mawile. It's really my only option here, so gonna go out to Mawile after he knocks out my Muck. Again, would have been really nice to have that late game win con, but it's gone. So the Muck's dead. Didn't have Gluttony anyway, so not such a huge deal. Mawile comes out here, gonna go for Sucker Punch because I kind of have to. At least I know he doesn't have Substitute, so like he can go for Nasty Plot, he can go for Roost, whatever he wants, but eventually he's gonna have to attack me, and I don't think he's gonna get the entire 8 Sucker Punch Mind Games right. So able to get the first one right there and go for Sucker Punch and KO the Mew. Great. The Mew is gone. So that thing being dead is really nice for me. Diggersby comes out here, and I only have ground immunities or resistances in the back. So I'm like, there's no way he Earthquakes here. He's going to go for U-turn, try and get some initiative, get some chip off on something like Uxie or Superior coming in. I'm going to go for Sucker Punch, put this Diggersby in range of another one later in the game and be in a really good spot. So that's exactly what I'm thinking in my head. Go for the Sucker Punch here, get some good chip damage off on the Diggersby. He goes for Earthquake. So he knocks out my Mega Mawile. Kind of been a theme of this season. I've been playing it too aggressively and just letting it die. Yeah, there's not much else to say. It's hard to have all that power in your hands and not want to just click buttons, but I gotta get used to not doing that. So I let the Mawile go. Huge mistake on my part, but a really nice play on Word's part, predicting me to not switch out there. In reality, I probably should have just made the middle ground play, gone Gliscor, get my Toxic Orb activated, because the only thing he's going for is either U-turn or Earthquake there. Great play. It was a great play on Word's part, going for the Earthquake there and knocking out the Mawile, but at the very least now I can get out into my Uxie and I get a free turn to go for Yawn here. Obviously he's choice locked into Earthquake, so there's nothing he can do to me. So I'm going to go for Yawn here on whatever comes out. He actually elects to go into the Venusaur first, maybe protecting me to go for Stealth Rock or something like that, but going for the Yawn means he definitely doesn't want that to get put to sleep, so I'm just going to go for Stealth Rock on the following turn. Again, could have gone for U-turn to keep up offensive momentum, but like, what's offensive momentum to a Choice Scarf Diggersby at this point in the match? So, gotta stay in with my Uxie here. Again, can't really risk him going for like Return here, predicting me to switch out. So, just gonna stay in with Uxie here. I gotta knock out this Diggersby. Gonna go for Psyshock as he U-turns out into a Zygarde, and I got a pretty nasty crit with Psyshock here. Do some big damage to the Zygarde. And we actually find out that he's running Leftovers, so definitely tells me that it could be like a sub-variant of Zygarde, so I need to watch out for that. But regardless of what kind of Zygarde set he's running, I do want to get out of here with my Uxie without U-turning, because if I U-turn and he goes for 1,000 Arrows or Outrage or something, I'm not going to be able to check the Venusaur later in the game. Word makes another really good play and goes for Glare on the Gliscor coming in, so amazing play on his end going for Glare to catch the Gliscor coming out. Gonna neutralize my potential for Toxic Orb. Obviously, really kicking myself for not going Gliscor earlier on the Diggersby, but he's just kind of making some really nice plays here at this point in the match. So I'm gonna go for knockoff as he turns out to be Coil Zygarde. Definitely could have been a big threat if I hadn't gotten that crit with a Psyshock earlier, but luckily for me I did, and I'm able to hit KO this Zygarde with knockoff into Earthquake. So big threat gone, but my Gliscor is basically useless at this point. Like, without my Toxic Orb recovery, there's not a whole lot I can really do to be helpful in this match. So Gliscor able to KO the Zygarde there, pretty nice for me. Just gonna stack it off to the Suicune. Like, I don't want Suicune to start setting up a whole bunch of Calm Minds or Substitutes or whatever in my face, so I'm just gonna go for Taunt, make sure he can't do any kind of shenanigans versus me, and he's just gonna go for Scald to knock me out. So that's fine. I can get out into my Superior, and now I kind of have to start making some plays. Like, I've got basically no offensive pressure left versus team because he does have a Mega Venusaur. So what I'm going to do here is double out into my Uxie, predicting the Venusaur to come in. If I can keep catching the Venusaur on Stealth Rock switch-ins and stuff like that, eventually it'll get in range of, like, Leaf Storm into HP Fire, but it's going to take a while before that happens. So he goes right off the bat for Mirror Coat. I haven't seen an item at this point, but that basically screams at me that he's running Assault Vest. So I'm going to try to put this thing to sleep with Yawn as he just goes for the Ominous Wind. Thankfully, does not get the boosts, but Suicune definitely a big threat to me. Very cool set with the AV. Suicune here to help deal with my Rotom and my Superior, but again, this is kind of the trap of Yawn, is I can U-turn out, either get momentum or put something to sleep. He likes for it to be putting something to sleep, so Suicune's going to go night-night here as it goes for Scald, but still don't really have a great way of breaking the Mega Venusaur, unfortunately. Here I could go for Volt Switch, and maybe in retrospect probably should have gone for Volt Switch, but instead I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp here. Will-O-Wisp did punish anything that came in, but I think Volt Switch was probably better to start getting him in kind of a U-turn Volt Switch kind of cycle with my Uxie, get some HP back with leftovers. In retrospect, definitely the play I should have made, but I Will-O-Wisp here, got a burn off on the Venusaur, which was still good for me. Like, I still felt like I kind of needed to do that for Superior to have any chance at winning. But now I basically got to sack off my Rotom here because I can't risk my Uxie coming in and taking 2 hits from this Venusaur. So I'm going to go for Pain Split here, just kind of sack this thing off as he goes for Giga Drain. He's going to do some big damage to me with Giga Drain, but I do live. And this is kind of an opportunity for me to go for another Pain Split, but I don't want him just going hard out into Diggersby and beating me down with Return. So again, kind of feeling like I need to make a play here. I'm going to click Hydro Pump on the Diggersby coming in. And get the play wrong, should have just gone for Pain Split. This Venusaur would have been at like 40% as opposed to 80 or so that it's going to be at the end of this turn. I don't know if that necessarily would have mattered in the long run. Like, Mimikyu kind of beats me at this point anyways. But Pain Split is definitely the better play for my Rotom there. Didn't end up making it, but again, I think I lost to Mimikyu at that point in the game regardless. So Uxie's going to come out here, just try and pick up some differential by spamming Psyshock at him. Obviously, he doesn't want to risk something like his Mimikyu's Disguise, so he goes out to sack the Diggersby, but it lives on 1% HP, so I'm like, well, that's great. So Diggersby comes out here. He can actually potentially U-turn out into something like his, I don't know, Suicune or something to deal with me, but he just goes for a Return here. Thankfully, he doesn't KO Uxie, and I'm able to KO him with with U-turn here. Get the differential a little bit more in my favor, but again, at this point, I can't beat Mimikyu, I can't beat Mega Venusaur. This game's a wrap. So, basically just got beat down in this game. Word played really well, definitely hard out-prepped me. Really good game to Word. Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say. You guys just saw me get kind of hacked out by Enceliga in MWPA. Honestly, games like this frustrate me a lot more because against Enceliga, like, that's the game. That's just, we play Pokemon, hacks happen sometimes. I put myself in a position to win. There wasn't a whole lot I could take away from it. In this game, I just got hard out prepped, hard out played, and that's frustrating to me because I know I can do better, I know I can prep better, I know I can play better, and I just didn't this game. So sorry to leave you on kind of a sour note, but we are going to lose this game 3-0 to Word. Again, very, very well played by Word. Great prep. Great job by Word. Hopefully we get another chance to meet in playoffs. Definitely a very difficult matchup, like I mentioned, but at least now I have a little bit better of a concept what he might be wanting to bring versus me, and hopefully we can kind of recalibrate if we do meet again and pick up a win next time. So GG to Word. Thanks very much for watching to this point if you did, guys, and I hope to see you guys around another video. This, I guess, is technically not over because he's going to go out to Mimikyu to preserve differential. But yeah, he's just going to knock me out with Shadow Sneak on the following turn. So thank you guys very much for watching to this point if you did. Hope to catch you in another video, and hopefully we can pick up that next win and guarantee ourselves that round 1 bye in playoffs. So yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you later.